Bonjour! In today's lesson we're going to be looking at forming questions in French, in particular how you would say do you have or do you want. We need to think also about who we're talking to, whether we would use tu, whether we use vous. I hope you find it useful. It's really important to be able to ask questions in French, and one of the things that you need to know before you start thinking about your question is who are you speaking to and on what level of formality are you with that person. So, for example, if you are talking to a friend, you might call them tu, just one single friend. If you are talking to more than one person, or if you're being more formal, you might call them vous. So just a little recap. Tu, to mean you, is if it's a child, one single one. You would call a pet tu if you were talking to your pet, asking if they were hungry. Yes, is the answer. And the other one is a friend, one single friend, somebody that you're being informal to. When you use vous is when you're being formal, so it could be maybe you're talking to the mayor. You could also be talking to somebody that you don't know, so the lady that works in the boulangerie, for example, you would call her vous. Maybe you're meeting your neighbour for the first time, or for the second time, third time, and you're still not quite on kind of informal terms. You would call them vous. The other one that we need to use vous for is as soon as there's more than one person. It could be two children, it could be your two children. You would still call them vous. As soon as there's more than one person, you use vous. It's not about suddenly becoming formal, it's just because there's more than one person. Same for, it could be your best friends, it could be the couple that live over the road that you're really good friends with. As soon as there's two of them or more, you need to use vous. So we're going to use vous, we're going to use it with have. Do you have? Okay, just for the purposes of this exercise. So we're going to practice with tu first of all. We're going to imagine we're talking to a friend. We're going to imagine we're being informal, talking to a friend, talking to a child. And we've got three different options of how to form a question using tu and then have. Do you have? These are going to be closed questions. So do you have? And then the answer is going to be either yes or no. So the first option is to start with rising intonation. So you can, or to finish with rising intonation, I should say. So you make the statement. So, for example, if we use the things that we did a few weeks ago where we talked about being hungry, remember you have to say you have hunger. So if I wanted to say are you hungry, I would say do you have hunger? And what I can do is I can say you have hunger. Tu as faim. If I put my intonation up at the end, tu as faim, it turns it into, do you have hunger? I.e., are you hungry? Tu as faim? Tu as soif? Are you thirsty? We could also start with est-ce que. Est-ce que looks horrible. Est-ce que, it literally means is it that, but it sounds like est-ce que. Okay? Est-ce que. You can put est-ce que at the start of any statement, and it turns it into a question. So, est-ce que tu as faim? Est-ce que tu as faim? Is it that you have hunger? Sounds crazy in English, but that's how when you translate it word for word, it's that. But we would say, are you hungry? Is it that you have hunger? Est-ce que tu as faim? Or we can swap around the you and the have. So instead of saying you have, tu as, we can switch it around and go as-tu. As-tu. As-tu faim? Have you hunger? Are you hungry? As-tu faim? What about if we were saying vous, so we don't know them or we're talking to more than one person? So here, the way we would do it, the statement with the rising intonation, vous avez, that's the right part of avoir, that's the right way to say have when we're talking to vous. So vous avez froid? Do you have cold? Vous avez froid? Or a statement with est-ce que at the beginning, est-ce que vous avez froid? Or the third option, we swap around the you and the have. So we can do vous avez, switch around, avez-vous, do you have, avez-vous. So we could do it with these things like we saw last week. So remember, have hunger, have thirst, have cold, have hot, have pain, have fear. We have to say tu as. So we're just going to do it with the statement rising intonation. Tu as faim, tu as soif, tu as froid, tu as chaud, tu as mal, tu as peur. Est-ce que tu as faim? Est-ce que tu as soif? Est-ce que tu as froid? Or we could do, as-tu peur? As-tu chaud? As-tu mal? Or if we were going to do, avez-vous, because we're talking to vous now, we're talking to more than one person, or we're talking to someone we don't know. Vous avez faim? Vous avez soif? Vous avez froid? Est-ce que vous avez peur? Est-ce que vous avez chaud? Est-ce que vous avez mal? We could say, avez-vous mal? Avez-vous chaud? We might also use the do you have in a situation where you're looking for something in a shop or in a restaurant or asking a neighbour. So how would we say, do you have fresh milk if we're talking to vous? Let's pretend we're going up to this man here. Do you have fresh milk? We could do, vous avez du lait frais? Avez-vous du lait frais? Est-ce que vous avez du lait frais? How about this one? We're in Monsieur Bricolage, needing some sandpaper. Do you have sandpaper? Avez-vous du papier vert? Vous avez du papier vert? Est-ce que vous avez du papier vert? Vous avez du papier de verre? Now we're going to our neighbour, who happens to be a farmer. We might want some eggs. Avez-vous des œufs? Oh, eggs is a funny pronunciation. When it's plural, we forget that UFS kind of exists on the end of it. We just say œufs. Vous avez des œufs? Est-ce que vous avez des œufs? Do you have some eggs? And how about we're in the cafe? We don't want caffeinated. We want decaf. Vous avez du déca? Est-ce que vous avez du déca? Avez-vous du déca? How about some tu veux? Tu veux comes from do you want. So we've done lots of do you have. How about do you want? So tu veux is do you want. So we could say tu veux, do you want? Tu veux un café? Est-ce que tu veux un café? Veux-tu un café? Do you want a coffee? To a friend? Or vous voulez. This is the vous form of want. Okay, you may recognise the voulez-vous form of it from a couple of famous songs. So vous voulez du café? Est-ce que vous voulez du café? Voulez-vous du café? Let's ask these people if they want something. So we're going to ask this little boy here if he wants some water. So we're going to be talking to him. We're going to use tu. Tu veux de l'eau? Do you want some water? Tu veux de l'eau? We're talking to our good friend here, just one of them. Do you want something to drink? So we're going to be calling them tu again. Est-ce que tu veux quelque chose à boire? Est-ce que tu veux boire quelque chose? Here we're back in a situation where we don't know the person. What are we asking? He's asking us, do you want your receipt? So we're going to need to say vous, or he's going to need to say to us, vous voulez votre ticket? Vous voulez votre ticket? Voulez-vous votre ticket? And last of all, our appointment at the doctor's, we might think maybe we need to hand over our carte vitale, our health card, and we might just say to the doctor, oh, vous voulez ma carte vitale? Est-ce que vous voulez ma carte vitale? Vous voulez ma carte vitale? Voulez-vous? Can't remember if I said that one. Here are some other verbs as well. Do you like? Tu aimes. If you know the person, singular. Vous aimez. If you are either being formal or talking to more than one person. Vous aimez le vin rouge? Do you like red wine? How about do you take? Do you take sugar? Tu prends du sucre? Vous prenez du sucre? Do you go? Tu vas? Do you go? Tu vas souvent au cinéma? Do you often go to the cinema? Vous allez souvent au cinéma? Est-ce que vous allez souvent au cinéma? Do you see? Tu vois? Tu vois souvent tes parents? Vous voyez souvent tes parents? Do you often see your parents? Remember, we can switch it around. Voyez-vous? Est-ce que vous voyez? And the last one works a tiny bit differently. In English, we say you are, or are you. So in English, we really switch this one around, like they do with the voulez-vous and avez-vous. Are you married? So in French, tu es marié, if you know the person, or vous êtes marié. Yeah, are you, or êtes-vous, or est-ce que vous êtes. So there's those different ways of doing it. Est-ce que vous êtes retraité? Are you retired? Est-ce que vous êtes anglais? Are you English? Est-ce que vous êtes un patient ici? Are you a patient here? A little recap. So, to ask someone you know a question to find out if they're hot or hungry, you can say tu as, est-ce que tu as, or as-tu? To ask someone you don't know well, or more than one person, a question to find out if they are hot, hungry, etc., you can either say vous avez, est-ce que vous avez, or avez-vous. Remember that those I am hot, I am hungry, we go to have in French. If you wanted to ask somebody you didn't know well if they have something, you can say vous avez, est-ce que vous avez, or avez-vous. To ask someone you know if they want something, you can either say tu veux, est-ce que tu veux, or veux-tu. Or, if you don't know them well, or there's more than one person, you would ask vous voulez, est-ce que vous voulez, or voulez-vous. Voulez-vous du café? And last thing to say is if you want any of my downloads, any of the cheat sheets, just click on the link in the description below and it will take you to this page where you can download anything for free. I hope you found that useful today. See you next time. Au revoir.